The calendar may say April, but at least in Colorado, it's still snowing. So today we're going to take a look at power, specifically connecting devices to your bike, keeping them charged and connected, but doing it with only one USB port. So what would you want to connect to your bike, and why would you need more than one USB-C connection? Well, I think many of you have found this headset trick, right? So we use an adapter for a car that enables an old stereo system to be hands-free using a little Bluetooth adapter. And there are several of these, and there are several videos out there about these, and you probably have watched the video I made on this one, the Madehawk adapter. So when you plug your Madehawk adapter in, it's USB-A, so you go from A to C and you plug that in. So that's great. Then you can power up your bike. It will connect to this as a headset, which will enable CarPlay to launch because we met the headset requirement. So if you're using just this, you're good. You just plug this into that one USB-C connection and you're good to go. But many of you would like to charge your phone while you're riding. So now you have this occupying the port, so you need to charge your phone in addition. So what you end up doing is looking for a USB splitter. You may go on Amazon and purchase one of these. So you'll quickly find out that these splitters don't work. And the challenge is it's trying to take that one USB-C connection and use it for two things. And it's really meant to power your phone or charge your phone, but also provide a headset connection. So you can have a headset going, but still charge your phone. So that's power inbound. But on the bike, we're using that USB-C connection to put power out. And you can't split the two. So you can't have power separated from the data, and a splitter just doesn't work. So your alternative is to use a hub. So a hub will take one connection and equally divide it. And it gives you about a half of an amp out of each one for power, and it attempts to take all the inbound data and feed it into the system. So these will work. You can get a USB hub like this, and you can plug multiple devices in it, but you're going to quickly figure out that there's not a lot of power here, so it's really not going to charge anything. If you want to find another option for charging a USB device on your bike, you may consider using your battery tender. My battery tender is under the deflector here. You can see my videos on where I store this. But you can take your battery tender and then go purchase one of these. And the purpose of this device is to convert this SAE connection to USB. And so far I've only found one that does USB-A. So you'll still potentially need an A to C adapter. But this little device does two things. It converts the plug to USB, but it also steps the voltage down. Because when you use your battery tender for an outbound power source, it's going to provide 12 volts. And if you connect that to your phone or to your little USB headset adapter, it will melt. So you have to step the voltage down from 12 volts to 5 volts for USB use. And that's what this connector does. I think the challenge is having a USB connection underneath your bike or wherever you run your tender out is not the most ideal scenario, unless you keep your phone in your pocket and run the cord down and plug it in. But then you have a cord attached to you while riding, and I don't recommend that at all. So if you remove your seat, we have some other power sources. The big one being the battery itself. So you could take a tender harness, go get another one, and connect that to the positive and negative of your battery, and then plug this in. Again, it'll step down the 12 volts from your battery to 5 volts. And then you could run this cord out wherever you like. The challenge is, with it directly connected to the battery, whatever you plug in here will continue to charge even when the bike is off, because it's a direct connection to the battery. So if you're not careful, you'll end up with a drained battery if you let it sit too long. So where else may we find a power source that is switched? So when the bike goes off, the power to the source goes off as well. Well, under the seat with these new bikes, we have two heated gear connectors. one for the rider and one for the passenger. And they provide 12 volts, but only when the bike is on. So how do we get from this adapter to this connector and use this as a source of power? So a quick disclosure, I'm certainly not taking credit for this idea. I initially found this on Facebook. There's a lot of really smart people in the Facebook groups, and they know more than I do about electronics and connectors and everything else. So there's more than one way to do this. But an easy way is to use one of those heated gear connectors. But they are a DC plug, and you need to get to an SAE connector for this adapter to work. You also need to remember that they are 12 volts. So you must step the voltage down to 5 volts before you plug anything into it. So your searches will lead you to Amazon, and you will find an SAE to DC cable. There are many of these out there, and they all claim to be a 5.5 millimeter to 2.1 millimeter inner diameter connector, which is to be the standard. But as you will find, it does not fit on the heated gear connectors on the bike. And if you read through the comments of these connectors, you'll see a lot of Pan America owners confirming that those connectors do not fit the Harley-Davidson motorcycles. So those Harley-Davidson heated gear connectors are a DC 5525 connector, and that is what you're looking for. And it's a bit hard to find. So you're going to end up looking through, and you'll find a cable like this one that comes with all the adapters. And you just want to make sure one of those adapters is that size. So you'll take the cable, and on the end, you'll just apply this 5525 adapter, and now you have a perfect fit for the heated gear underneath your seat. And then you have an SAE connector on this side. You'll connect those two, and then plug it in, and away we go. Now we can plug something in here and charge it, and it's switched based on the ignition of the bike. So when the bike is off, there'll be no power provided here. So with the right size connector, we'll just pick either one of these heated gear connectors, remove the cover cap and plug it in, and look at that, it fits. And we have our USB adapter, and this will step it down from 12 volts to 5 volts. Then you can take your headset Bluetooth adapter, plug that in, and when you turn on your bike, this will power. And you could leave it all under the seat because you don't need to touch it. Every time you turn on the bike, your headset adapter will come on and CarPlay will start, leaving your USB-C connection free for whatever you want to use it for. So I caution you, the first time you do this, you may smell a burning smell, an electrical burning smell, and you will uncover your seat and you will find that your Madehawk adapter no longer comes on. And that's because you melted it. Well, why would that be? We stepped it down from 12 volts to 5 volts, and it should work, right? But you'll discover that this guy's been fried. And the reason for that is the polarity. So with this cable, they wire it really for solar panels. And in the kit, they include this guy. And you may think this is just an extension cable to allow you to extend this SAE cable, but it's actually not. It actually flips around the positive and the negative. So as we have it wired here, you can see that we have the plus sign for positive going to the black wire. And then we have the negative sign for ground going to the hot wire, the red wire. So it's feeding the polarity through the adapter in reverse. And then when you connect your USB device, the polarity is backwards and you end up frying it. Rest in peace, Madehawk adapter. So to correct this, you can use their included polarity changer. So we'll plug this in. And now when we connect our USB adapter, it's flipped around. So now we have the positive aligned with the red wire and the negative ground aligned with the black wire. So with it connected this way, it will all work. But unfortunately, it's too late for my Madehawk adapter. So I did find another option, and that's from Gerbing, the actual heated clothing company. You cannot buy this adapter from them on Amazon. You'll have to order it directly from them, and they'll ship it USPS, so you have to wait a little while for it. But this has the correct polarity in the cable, and you don't have to worry about that changer. It's also the right size, so that 552 DC connector. So a little bit cleaner solution, and frankly it's the same cost. You pay a little additional for shipping, but it's really the same cost as the Amazon one. I'll put that information in the description. So again, if you're using it for the headset adapter, you can just leave this all underneath the seat. Just tidy it up and make it nice, put your seat back on, and you're good to go. But what if you want to charge a couple devices up here? So maybe you have a phone, and maybe you have a GPS unit. Look at my video on the embedded GPS. Maybe you're opting to use your own. Or you have some other accessory that you want to use up front. Well, I would recommend you can get the battery tender extender cable, and then just simply connect that in underneath the seat here, and then run it underneath your tank up out here up front somewhere. And that'll give you another USB connection up front. With the USB extension cable, you now see you have plenty of length to run this up underneath the tank and just find a place to mount it up front. And then you have your USB-C connection up front. And with this length of cable, you could get creative and maybe find somewhere else to run it out. But it simply plugs in, SAE connection here with the USB adapter. Now we have our USB adapter for a headset, and we have our USB-C port completely open at the front of the bike to charge your phone or use wired CarPlay. So another option for power underneath the seat is actually the parts and accessory connector, which sits right here in the tray. So this connector has the ability to provide power as well. And there's a gentleman who runs a company called Sounds. He's made a couple cool adapters for these new bikes, and he's got a harness here that will convert this to one of these SAE connectors. So as always, I will put information in the description of this video of the products I used. Some of them are my affiliate links on Amazon. If you click there and purchase the product, they get a small commission, costs you nothing. I truly appreciate it when you do that. I hope you found this information useful, and if you did, you go share it with someone else. But until next time, in the Friction Zone.